Well, hello ladies and gentlemen, here for my review, of course, of Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power Episode 4. We'll talk full spoilers. There won't be any footage. Amazon Prime does love a good copyright claim, so we're not going to be doing that. And primarily, I want to talk about why, or at the very least, what was blatantly obvious about why the overall show has been suffering. So, as you know, I've made no qualms about saying I dislike this show, or at least I have disliked every single episode up until now. This episode was significantly better, but it is still poor and lacking. And it's not to do with representation, it's not to do with any of that stuff, so stop furiously typing like a ingrate or child. It's plainly boring. And this episode, we predominantly stayed with one storyline. The dwarves. We stayed there for the majority of the episode. And you know what? That storyline began to unfold a little bit more. And as a result of it, I was more engaged. It was still boring, mind you, because all we learnt was the origin of Mithril. What? Why? What's the point in that? Complete memberberry nonsense, right? Doesn't go anywhere. There's no point in that. But it was more engaging because we stayed with one actual story. This show is so poorly written that it has so many storylines, so many plot threads running through it from different angles. Obviously, they're all going to conjoin eventually, but they're each individual characters, and they're suffering because in each episode they're flitting between it constantly. This is the one episode where they've stayed with one storyline the longest, and thus it has actually ended up being the most engaging. Again, still really, really bad. It's a boring show. It's got really bad writers. And I think what was so funny to me was seeing the showrunners' names pop up instantly at the start as if they're proud of it. These guys have zero credits. Zero credits. Zero, like none. They've written a movie or anything. It's just nothing. And they've been given this. And you're like, goodness me, what a complete waste of money that was for Amazon Prime. So like I said, what happened in this episode? Well, we stay with Elrond and the dwarves. Okay? Good characters, likeable characters in a boring show. Elrond is a bit boring, but the dwarves are likeable. Dis is it's all of that was really interesting. And the sort of cheekiness about them, I liked it. Right? We learn that they're mining, they've opened up the old mine. What are they mining for? Well, they spotted a brand new ore that's never been found before. They call it Mithril, or some dwarven name, but it's translated as Mithril in Elvish. Oh, that's the origin of that substance that was, that saved Frodo. Oh, do you remember that? Really? Did we have to do that? It doesn't do anything. Totally pointless. But that was where we spent the majority of the time. We did go back to our captured elf, sorry. Our captured elf with the orcs. And we learnt who Adar is. Maybe, who knows, probably not. Adar is presumably a bit of a misdirect. The orcs call him father. So obviously people are going to go, is it Sauron? Yeah, it might be. Probably a misdirect though. And he makes a deal, check this out, for nonsense storytelling, writing, because this is egregiously bad storytelling. Everyone who likes this show, just wait. Riddle me this and explain this to me. Adar, father of the orcs, says to the elf, I'm going to let you go. But you must do something for me, and then I'll let you go. You go to the humans that are in that old tower, and you tell them that they must pledge fealty to me, and we'll spare them, or we'll just kill them all. So run along, go do this now. That was the deal that Adar made. So why did the orcs not know that that was the deal that was made? Because they would have seen him go. They would have seen him go, right? He's gone. Elf finds little boy in Old Town, village, all the orcs chase after him, trying to kill him. So what was the point in that? What was the point in that exchange if Adar wasn't going to tell his orc servants, his soldiers, that he just let him go? What if he died before he managed to get to the tower? Also, why didn't he just kill him and go there himself? And go, look guys, pledge fealty to me or I'm going to kill you. Don't you think it would have more weight if he was there? It's bad stories. It's bad writing. It's bad writing. Okay, it's bad. Secondly, little dude, the little kid that has the hilt of Sauron or whatever it is. He's in the village, gets found out by orcs. So he tries to hide down a well. He does hide down a well. And then the orc's drinking from the well bucket, chucks it down, hits him on the head. He hears the noise, the orc hears the noise, so the little kid quickly ducks under the water. And the orc looks over, he's like, oh. Immediately turns around and walks off. But as he's walking off, the little kid comes up, makes a bunch of noise. The orc would hear that. Come on. Now this did, so that's ridiculous. But it did lead to a really good, one of the only really good shots that I've seen in this show so far. One sort of shot tracking sequence where the boys sort of moving through the village. And a friend of mine said it reminded him of a video game. And I tell you what, I agree. It is good, but terrible, because the orc's somehow sense of smell is bad now. Why could they not smell a human was there? Better yet, a half-breed, a human, an elf, because that's what he is. He's the son of that elf. Why could you not smell that? Okay, never mind. Whatever. Not only that, another stupid piece of writing in this show. Galadriel. Remember that awful cringeworthy part from the trailer where she goes, "There's a tempest in me!" That happens. She asks for an audience with the Queen. She gets an audience with the Queen Regent of Numenor. Numenorian Queen Regent's like, no, love, you're not going to go. We're not doing this nonsense. You're not going to see the king. Whatever. You're annoying me. She goes, there's a tempest in me. Boom. Immediately cut to Galadriel being in prison. Who thought that was good? Like, I actually laughed out loud. I lolled at that moment. It was very, very funny. And it's not supposed to be. But when your show is unintentionally hilarious, there's a problem. So anyway, she gets locked up. She breaks out, escapes, climbs the tower to see the king. The king is then explained to Galadriel by the Queen Regent, his daughter, that he's deteriorated. He's in bad shape. He's not doing well. Galadriel agrees to. Galadriel gets shown the Palantir. Puts a hand on the Palantir. Sees the destruction of Numenor with waves. Right. Then it sounds like I'm confused. I'm not. It's just nonsense. Queen Regent shows her the Palantir, the destruction of Numenor. Galadriel agrees to go. Queen Regent goes back to the palace, but the petals from the tree fall. It's a sign of the gods. Queen Regent gets Galadriel back. They all agree to go and help Galadriel. What was the point of all of that? From a writing perspective, that is an epic waste of time. It's an epic waste of time. No wonder this show is so bloody boring. So anyway, there you go. I mean, nothing much really happens. Galadriel has now got the help from Numenorians. There was a very funny remark made by like some Jack the Lad in the show. So Elendil's daughter was scrubbing some steps or something like that, and a guy comes up. It's like, oh, if you do this, I'll do that. Whoever finishes first can buy dinner. She goes, I was told not to go on dates with strange men. And he goes, if I see any, I'll tell you. I was like, lad, what a legend. It's such a bad show. It's so boring. This was, again, admittedly, a much more engaging episode, but it is boring. And it's boring because they don't structure each story thread appropriately. You remember in the Fellowship of the Ring, right? When they all meet up and then they all split off. And then in the subsequent movies, how they handled each story thread. Perfect, great, no worries. This is just so terrible. Real boring. Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know down below. Love to hear it. Cheers. Peace.